Hey, what's going on, everybody? Blake O'Rulian here for the Scoreboard. It is January 7th, 2022. Very excited to be here. And we've got a whole lot going on in the show today. We're talking to some of the top talents in the entire state of Utah. One of the top teams in terms of hockey in the entire state of Utah is Park City, and one of the top wrestling programs in the entire state is Wasatch. We've got some interviews with both of those teams today on the Scoreboard. But before any of that, let's jump over to what has happened this week in sports. So let's jump over first to Park City boys basketball. They lost their region opener to Olympus 82-40. Only 3 players got on the scoreboard. Luke Verchuk with 15 points, Cutter Lapine with 7, and then Duke Gordon stepping up from JV in his first game ever. A sophomore dropped a team-high 18 points. Their game tonight against Skyline is canceled. As for right now, we don't know actually what games are going to be canceled in the near future as we are recording this right now, but we will keep you updated on our social media pages as we find out more information about these games. But as for right now, we do know Park City boys basketball is canceled. Their next game versus the Brighton Bengals is also up in the air. As for the girls, they lost to Olympus 80-13, 6 losses in a row for them, and the Skyline game is potentially canceled as well. We are not sure as of right now. As for Wasatch, let's jump over to boys basketball. They got the win against Mountain Crest 62-49. Tucker Engelbright, Mitch Lind, and Joe Wonder all in double-digit scoring. That team is really solid. They have a lot of people who can score, a lot of players who can play defense, all under Coach James Ballstead. Fun team over there. As for the girls' side, they got a tough loss against Layton Christian, a close loss, 50-48. This makes 4 losses in a row, and their next game is potentially at Riverton. As for Wasatch, we jump over to their wrestling team as well, who we will talk later to their head coach, Wade Disher. They won against Salem Hills on Wednesday night. Jumping over to South Summit, we go over to boys. They lost to American Leadership 52-62. No game until next Thursday at Morgan. Quick shout out to Max McKee, who is averaging 16 points per game leading South Summit. We got to get over there and make sure that we talk to them pretty soon, and that's something that we definitely want to do over here on the Scoreboard. As for the girls, they got a close loss to Summit Academy 50-48. Avery Snyder and Reagan Sanderson split the team highs with 16 points apiece. No game until next Tuesday at Morgan. As for North Summit, no game this week for the boys. Their next game is against the Rich Rebels on Thursday. And for the girls, they lost to Judge Memorial Bulldogs 40-70. Their next game is at North Sevier at our next Thursday. And with that, we are going to jump over to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to one of the most successful coaches in all of high school sports here in Utah. We got Wade Disher. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
The Scoreboard is proudly sponsored by Andrea Cox Mortgage. Welcome to First Rate Mortgage.
My name's James, and I've been in the market for mortgages several times over the years, so I've gone through the process with different people. And when I met Andrea, she explained to me why my current loans were subpar and how she could get better loans with better rates.
If I had to describe Andrea in one word, I think I would use the word passionate. She is very passionate about what she does and getting the right solutions for her clients, and that made her an absolute pleasure to work with.
Hi, I'm Andrea Cox. You can reach me at 435-631-9262. Call me, text me, or you can reach me at my website, andreacoxmortgage.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Scoreboard. I am your host, Blake O'Rulian. Now, before we get into our interview with Coach Wade Disher over at Wasatch High School, we do want to let you know that both Brick and I have been filming all week long, and so before the mask mandate came out, we did film these interviews for the show that we have going on right now. So all of these interviews were filmed prior to the mask mandate and prior to the COVID outbreak, so we aren't wearing masks. As for future shows, we will be wearing masks. We will be on Zoom doing things virtually, but we just wanted to let our audience know that prior to us doing this. And with that, let's talk about Wade Disher, one of the most successful coaches in the history of Wasatch High School and probably the most successful Utah wrestling coach here in the state. Got to sit down with him, got to talk to him about his journey, how he became the coach, and what he loves about the sport of wrestling. With that, we'll go over to Wade Disher. Coach Disher, thank you so much for sitting down, and thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. So I guess to kick it off, I just wanted to talk to you about your upbringing. What's brought you here to Wasatch High School? What has made you be here for 24 years minus 5, right? You were gone for 5 years?
24, 25, yeah. I came here in 97 originally. Mm-hmm. So yeah, how many years is that? I think this might be my 21st. Something like that. No, I don't know.
20th. It's your 20th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Gosh, quite a long journey actually. You know, you wrestle your whole life. I wrestled my whole life. As a kid growing up, I grew up in North Dakota. And so just outside of Fargo, small town, wrestling was, you know, I was introduced to it by a family friend of ours and really kind of took hold of it. I was kind of, I was a handful as a kid probably, a lot of energy, and wrestling was really that sport that kind of, that really drew me to it. But I played a lot of sports. I just played, as a kid growing up in a small town, you play everything. So I wrestled up in North Dakota at the University of Mary, which is a D2 school there, and I had the opportunity to coach I was a student coach. I never redshirted, so my 5th year I ended up being a student coach for this guy named Milo Trusty, who's kind of the Yoda of Midwestern wrestling up especially in the Dakotas, Minnesota, Montana. But he had just started a program. It would have probably been about 1988. I graduated in '89, so the program was second year of the program. And I was recruited by him, and I didn't win state. I took third, lost in the semifinals, but he came and recruited me, you know, at that state tournament. He's like, I want you to, you know, I'm looking for these guys to come wrestle for me. You know, I'm not looking for the state champs. I'm looking for the guys that are, you know, he had this kind of an idea of what he could build a program. And within 2 years, we were competing for a national title. We just had a bunch of just tough guys. And so he had a great influence on me as a wrestler, but also as a coach, because I had the opportunity to coach with him for a year. Got married, started a family after college, ended up coming back, took 1 year in the real world, and then decided to come back and be a grad assistant for a year. But then obviously you don't make very much money and support a family when you're doing that. And then I just moved out, my wife and I just wanted to move out west somewhere. Ended up in Green River, Wyoming, which is, I didn't know anything about Green River, just got a job there and ended up meeting some guys that were in our department, our social studies department, and they were both wrestling coaches. You know, come to find out that they had developed this great wrestling program there. They'd won a number of state titles. Tom Siemens and Bill Hodges, and Bill Hodges still coaches at Western Wyoming today. We came here for a duel against Wasatch when I was in Green River. It was Cale Sanderson's senior year. And it was that Wasatch hadn't lost a match in years, and we came out here and beat them. Come to find out that Steve Sanderson, who had kind of developed this program, this dynasty of Wasatch wrestling, I think they were on their 4th or 5th, maybe 6th state title in a row. He was going to step down because he was going to follow his sons at Iowa State. That at that time, Cody and Cole Sanderson were wrestling there, and then Cale was going to follow his brothers. And yeah, lo and behold, Tom Siemens, the guy I was coaching under, you know, kind of talked to him about, you got this guy, you know, young guy, whatever. And at that time I was young. Yeah. Right. You know, it was 1996. So yeah, quite a long time ago. And so I could come to find out that Steve was kind of scouting me throughout the year, because we'd see him up in Idaho Falls, we saw him out in Reno at these different tournaments. And I got to know him a little bit then, and you know, hey, you want to apply for this job? And I was like, I don't know, right? Yeah. And there was a few other job opportunities, and those didn't come through, and it eventually it was like, okay, here we go. But I fell in love with this place right away. Drove into the valley, it was like, wow, this is cool, coming from Green River, Wyoming. Right. Right? And being a flatlander in North Dakota, you drive into this valley, it was just beautiful. You know, it was this time of year, so it was snow-capped mountains and all that stuff. But then the atmosphere in the gym was incredible. It's like, came home that night, it was like 2 in the morning after the bus ride. It was like, Steph, you got to see this place. And it was, that's where I want to coach, you know. Yeah. If I could decide if I could coach anywhere, then, like I said, things kind of played out, and I was asked to apply for it and got the job, and went through my bumps my first few years, didn't know what I was doing as a head coach. You know, I served as an assistant. I'd go in the wrestling room every day and wrestle and help kids, but it was never running a program, and it took me a while to figure that part out.
Coach, thank you so much. We will be right back, and we're going to jump over to the ice rink, and then we'll jump back to Wade in a little bit. But for right now, we're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
My perfect day. Fresh air, fresh snow. Seamless, like the perfect turn. these are the days I'll remember. Spent with close friends at our favorite spot. My perfect day is every day in Park City. And I'm just along for the ride.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Blake O'Rulian. Now, before we finish up that interview with Coach Wade Disher, we're going to jump over to the ice rink here in Park City, where Brigham Harris was able to talk to one of the players over on the Park City Miners Club hockey team. They're one of the most dominant teams in the state. They've recently won 2 state championships, and they won the other night 7-1 versus the Ice Llamas. Very fun team name right there. I'd say that probably takes the cake for one of the best teams in the entire state in terms of names. But they won their game 7-1, so Brigham Harris was able to talk to one of their best players. And with that, we'll go over to Brigham Harris. Brigham.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Right now, I am joined by Cutler Schofield. Cutler, first of all, you got to explain to me the hard hat. You guys just won 7-1. What's with the construction equipment here?
So our hard hat is pretty much player of the game. Guys bringing the most heat, playing the hardest, right? It's not always about the goal scorers, right? So it's just whoever brings it that day, and I was lucky enough to win it today.
Nice.
Team did pretty good, so happy about it.
Yeah, tell me about the 7-1 win. You guys are obviously on a streak. You guys have been doing really, really well this season, and you're 2-time returning champs. How good does a 7-1 win feel in your home turf?
It feels great. Like they played pretty hard, but we had a good step on them for most of the game. I think we have a couple more steps in us, but we're looking good. I'm happy about our win, and it really shows how our heart and all that, getting 7 goals. It's a big thing, for sure.
Cutler, you've got this year plus another season ahead of you. Tell me just a little bit about what your plans are, your goals, I guess you could say, for the rest of 2022.
Yeah, so with 2 years left, I definitely want to win 2 more state championships with these guys. I was lucky enough to be on 2 straight ones the last couple years, but like, this is a good group of guys. I like the younger kids coming up, and I think we can really make a name for ourselves.
And then beyond high school, maybe tell me something about what you plan to do, play for a college team, go to juniors. What's your aspirations with hockey after school?
So, me personally, like, I'm looking at colleges mostly, right? Get the college life, get the college education. But hockey's the goal, right? We could play in there, maybe play in a state championship or national championship, right? That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. Well, you guys still have national championships here as well. Yeah. Tell me about what you guys need to do for the rest of the regular season to get to nationals.
So to get to nationals, we got to place pretty high in the playoffs because we run a 2-game loss system. So getting a bye that first week is really big. It puts a big advantage on us. And then after that, we gotta win 2 games in states, right? So like, getting to nationals, that's the goal. I know the guys, that's all they want to do. And we want to win a game in nationals, yeah.
Well, you guys definitely have this legacy of Park City Miners hockey as like the hockey team in Utah, you know what I'm saying? So going forward, do you guys feel like you have a target on your back at all heading into states?
Oh yeah, like we were the underdogs 3 years ago. We lost a couple in the state championships, and then we came back and we won and we caught fire. All these guys watched us in the stands, and now these freshmen and sophomores are like, I want a piece of that, and I like that we have the heart and all that for us to win this, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. You talk a little bit about how talented, you are. You had a hat trick scorer tonight, and then you have obviously Colton McIntyre, who's the number 1 goalie in the state. What do you have to say about the rest of your guys, your team?
We're not going to be the flashiest team, but we're definitely going to come out the fastest and the hardest, right? We have those goal scorers, like Liam Van Valkenburg, incredible goal scorer. He had the hat trick tonight. And then McIntyre, he shuts down everybody. We had a couple seniors coming down for like their last push, and they're playing hard, and then the freshmen are trying to prove themselves. So I like it. So
good mix, you could say.
Yeah, really good mix.
That's awesome. And you talk about 3 years ago, this legacy that has existed for a few years, but now you have a former NHL player as a head coach, Jack Skilly. Tell me what it's been like being coached by him.
It's really brought a new light to the game. Like, at first we were playing kind of just pond hockey almost, not really big systems, but now we're playing the NHL systems that he was playing, and it's really, I think we're moving the puck a lot more. We're getting open ice. We're making a better team with it, just his systems, so.
Cutler, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it again. Cutler Schofield Jr. for Park City Miners wearing the hard hat tonight. Again, thanks so much for your time, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Brigham, thank you so much for that interview, and good luck to Park City on the rest of the season, and also to the Ice Llamas. I just love that name. With that, we will be right back.
Hi guys, I'm Janet, the Dairy King. We're famous here for our ice cream. We have 84 different kinds of shapes. We also have some amazing food. So come and try our chicken strips, our fish and chips dinners, our burgers, our fries, our sweet potato fries. Oh my gosh, we've got so much. Once you go over to the Heber Valley Railroad and ride their train, then of course you have to come here and see all of our trains. Our family's serving your family since 1946. We hope to see you soon here at the Dairy King.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Scoreboard. I am your host Blake O'Rulian here on this January 7th Friday show. Very excited to be here. So we've got a whole lot going on. We've got wrestling, we've got basketball, we've got hockey. We talked about hockey. We're going to jump back over to the wrestling mat. We're going to talk again to Coach Wade Disher, finish up that interview with him. It was just a blast to sit down with him. His passion for wrestling is very, very apparent in both this interview and one that we're also going to air next week and potentially on Friday when we talk to some of their top wrestlers over at a specific all-star duel that he's going to be talking about in this interview. So with that, let's jump back over to Wade Disher. I love hearing about like how you got here. And you said it took you a couple years, but I mean, if I did my research correctly, you've got 10 state championships under your belt as a coach. Is that correct? So can you talk to me about that process of, you know, starting off going, man, what am I doing here? Almost felt like a fish out of water at such a wonderful program. You wanted this job so bad. And then from that to now becoming one of the most successful coaches here in Utah's history.
Yeah. When you look at it from the outside, you probably think, oh yeah, that's, but no, you just try to do your best every day. You know, maybe it's, I wouldn't call it the fear of failure. I think that's what probably drove me right away. But then you start to, you don't do it for that. You really want to help kids, help wrestlers realize that, okay, this is a hard sport. You can't do anything, in my opinion, you can't do anything harder in terms of a sport. The physical, but the mental, it's such a, how do I want to say, life-transforming sport. Kids that go through that. And it's not fun in terms of, oh, let's go play lacrosse. I want to be a part of the team, and we're going to go out and run around and throw balls at each other, and you know, it's hard to get the kids grind it out every day, but those experiences are harder and harder to come by. And this sport gives them that opportunity to do really hard things, and it really doesn't. In the end, it really doesn't mean a lot, but it gives them so much. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I mean, it means a lot. I shouldn't say that. You know, being a champion, standing on top of the podium, working for those goals. But they wrestle for 6 minutes at a time. It's not life and death, but it can give them such an experience in those really formative years. And these guys become the leaders. They're the ones that, yeah, so many lessons can be learned.
How have you seen wrestling change the lives of those that you've coached over the years?
It warrants those stick-to-itness, going through hard times. I talk with old wrestlers all the time, and you know, the most successful ones, whatever, 3-time state champs, 4-time state champs, whatever, you know, you can see that that has propelled them to do greater and greater things. You always have the exception to the rule, though. But you look at some of these other guys, just being a part of something like this and working hard, coming in and doing those hard things, and maybe they weren't even maybe they were a state qualifier or whatever. It's really, they look back on those things, their experience, with just like, man, I'm so grateful that I was able to wrestle, even though I mean, it sucked for them sometimes. Yeah. You know, it was really, but some of their best memories as they reflect. So they have some really good memories of being a part of something, but also just going through hard times in their lives. I had, you know, a number of kids that I've keep in touch with that have really had to deal with some just icky things. And I think wrestling has really pulled them through that. And some kids choose career choices that are just, it's not for everybody. Yeah. You know, and I don't, there's certain things that they're doing out there. I can give you all kinds of specifics, but if you didn't have this experience, being part of wrestling, I don't think they would see through it. That stick-to-itiveness, that resiliency that wrestling really grows in somebody.
I was going to talk to you about that actually. So what is it like having all these, state champions, state competitors versus the ones who are just learning how to wrestle? How do you kind of balance that in the wrestling room?
You try to stick to a certain script, but you have to go off script a little bit. I've got great assistant coaches this year. I got some kids that are back that have wrestled for me that are able to work with those guys. Cameron Day, who's my assistant coach, we hired him about 3 years ago. He used to coach at Delta and used to coach, he's a younger guy, so he can work with my lighter guys. And I got Gabe Vigil, who had a successful club out of Salt Lake. He's been with us for about 6 years now, kind of through this run. He's been a game changer in that whole, taking our program, especially in the off season, to that next level. But I also got Richie Haywood, who wrestled a couple times state champion, ended up wrestling out at Penn State for a couple of years with under Kale, yeah. And he was able to work with, Olympic wrestlers. And now he's back in our room, brings it's knowledge, technique and all that stuff, but just brings a kind of a, I don't want to say it, maybe a different approach to things a little bit too. And working with some of the best in the world, you bring that to the wrestling room, it's pretty cool. And he's working with our upper weights, and you can see the immediate impact. DJ Cohen wrestled for me. He's back helping. And so I got a bunch of really good coaches at the high school, but our middle school program, I got 2 former wrestlers, college wrestlers that are coaching at middle school, same thing at the 3rd through 5th grade. I got, it's really the people that make the program. It's not like a person, it's really the people that you surround yourself with. I think that's really meant a lot, yeah. And mentors that you have and whatnot, so.
That made me think, what keeps bringing you back? What keeps bringing you back to want to wrestle, or not to wrestle, but to coach wrestling? And what keeps bringing you back to the wrestling room itself?
The sport itself perpetuates things that you want to see in kids. You think you have an impact. Like for me personally, it's like, if I don't have a positive impact, do I really want to come back and do this again? And if you can analyze and let's take a step back and say, okay, am I still progressing in that area? I think there's that drive, to, you want to do better, to drive just to keep coming back to, I want to win. Mm-hmm. That becomes really empty. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You win. You got to find that probably that bigger purpose again.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you guys. Such a storied program. So many names up on that wall over in the wrestling room. It just seems like a historic place, and it's a total blast to be able to talk to the players as well as himself. Right after this, we will be closing up the show, talking about some things to look out for the next couple of weeks here on the Scoreboard. With that, we will go to a commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It starts small. A celebration of every detail. A smile. A singular passion. It's the smallest of details that add up to big differences. Every single day. Every little moment. It starts here.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Blake O'Rulian. It's been a great show so far. We've got to sit down with a lot of different people, talk about hockey, talk about wrestling. It's been a blast. And we're going to talk more about basketball as regional play continues. Regional play started this week. We're not exactly sure where things are going to go in terms of COVID protocols, if we're going to be allowed to go to the games, if the players are going to be healthy enough to play. Some players are getting moved up, as I mentioned earlier. Duke Gordon, the sophomore, dropping 18 points in his varsity debut against a very talented Olympus team team. Don't forget to go over to thescoreboardnation.com to check out all of our episodes. You can also catch us on Park City TV on Tuesdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. You can also reach us at our social pages on Instagram at Scoreboard Nation. And then if you have any story ideas, if there's anything going on in your community that you'd like Brigham or I to cover, you can reach out to me at blake@parkcity.tv. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Friday episode of The Scoreboard. We will see you all on Tuesday with updates on sports as well as COVID to see what is going on and what we are covering.